welcome to another video, guys. This week we enjoyed some more beautiful walks in the park. The weather is slowly warming up and February is soon coming to an end. Days are getting longer again and it's so nice when I go to work now and it's not complete darkness. When I'm arriving at work, I'm getting to see the sun rising and I absolutely love that feeling. We love coming to this beach, especially when it's windy, to see the kite surfers. My husband recently got into kite surfing and he's really loving it. So it's awesome that we have a beach that's very popular with the kite surfers in the area. So we come down when it's nice or when it's not nice and it's just windy, but it's lovely when the sun is also out. We bring some drinks and snacks and just sit there watching the kite surfers. And our dog obviously absolutely loves getting the extra walks and just hanging out by the beach. This new year, I've listened to more audiobooks and I've listened to some really great ones, and I'll put the titles below. They've just really helped me focus on the things that really matter and learning to prioritize the things that are essential to me, figuring out what those things are, and creating healthier habits. So I'm just trying to be more mindful of how I spend my time to ensure that I'm living the life I actually want to live and that I'm dedicating time to the things that actually matter to me and make me happy about my days. I hope you enjoyed this video, and up next is this week's recipe. Hey guys, I'm finally going to share with you my sourdough pizza recipe. So since it's sourdough, it does require some prep work, so we did that yesterday. So let's go back to that and see what I did yesterday. Hey guys, so I'm finally gonna show you guys how I make sourdough pizza. It's super easy and it's absolutely delicious. We make pizza at home all the time. So I'm gonna start with a bowl. I have my starter here. I took this out of the fridge about 3 hours ago, and I fed this probably about a week ago and then tossed it in the fridge, and it's good to go. So I'm gonna start off by measuring 100 grams of the starter into this bowl. Perfect, 100 exact. Okay, then to this I'm going to add 275 grams of room temperature water. Okay, so I'm just gonna remove this off of the scale now. And then I just use the back of a wooden spoon, like the handle, to mix it. I find that that works really well. Okay. And then I'm going to add 2 teaspoons of salt. This is just pink Himalayan salt. I'm gonna add 2 tablespoons of extra virgin olive oil. Give it a little stir. And then I have here 450 grams of all-purpose flour. You can use bread flour or all-purpose flour. They both work, just texture will be slightly different. So I'm just gonna give this a light little mix just to bring it together. Then I'm gonna put it on my KitchenAid mixer and use the dough hook and just beat that for a while until it becomes really elastic, and I'll show you guys what that looks like. Okay, good enough. It really takes no time. Sourdough, it's just about the prep work and then making sure you time it properly so you have time to let it rise, but the actual work is hardly any. So I just have the dough here in my KitchenAid mixer, and I'm using the dough hook. Bring that up. Okay, so this is what it looks like. It's very stretchy and very wet still. So I had it on there for about 4 minutes. I'm just gonna put a little bit of olive oil in my hands. And then I'm just gonna try to unstick it from the bowl. So one thing that's different between this one and when I make sourdough bread is that I don't do those turns. every 30 minutes for 2 hours for the pizza. So just coat it in oil, back in the bowl. I'm just gonna clean my hands, then I'm gonna cover it up, and I'm gonna pop it in the fridge because we're only gonna make it tomorrow. It's almost 2 p.m. here in Toronto right now, and we're gonna make it tomorrow for dinner. So it's gonna have quite a bit of time to ferment in the fridge. So tomorrow I'll probably take it out around this time, so around 24 hours later, and then let it come to room temperature and puff up a little bit more before we're ready to make it. So yeah, I'll show you guys tomorrow what it looks like when we're gonna make it. As for my sourdough starter, I'm gonna feed it again. It's probably about 75 grams in here, give or take. I'm just gonna add 100 grams of flour, 100 grams of water, mix it, and pop it back in the fridge for whenever I need it to make some. I just try to scrape down whatever is stuck on the sides. Once the top gets super dry, I will change everything over to a new jar and wash this one just to prevent any bad bacteria from growing. We're gonna add 100 grams of flour. Perfect. Now we're gonna mix that again. It's ready to go into the fridge. Okay, so today's the next day and I have my dough here that I took out of the fridge about 3 hours ago. I was gonna make this for dinner, but it's the weekend, we woke up late and it's already 4 p.m. So we're gonna have an early dinner and I get to use some of the light to film. I wanna show you how I make my sauce. Sometimes I buy pizza sauce, but most of the time I just get crushed tomatoes and make it myself, like the pureed tomato, and I make it myself. That way, if there's any leftovers, I can use it for other things. I just have about 3 garlic cloves here that I've crushed, and I'm adding some black pepper. I'm gonna add a teaspoon of salt. I like to add a little bit of poultry seasoning. It has thyme, sage, marjoram, rosemary, black pepper, and nutmeg. So I'm gonna add a little bit, about 1/4 teaspoon of the poultry season. If you don't have this, that's okay. You could add some basil, oregano, anything like that. I will be adding oregano to the top of the pizza, so I like to add this in here instead. And another thing that I think really makes it yummy is to add extra virgin olive oil to your sauce. So I add a good amount. Okay, so that's it. And the garlic is raw and it does cook while you're baking the pizza, just enough. But you still get that nice garlicky flavor. Okay, so we have our sauce all done. Put that to the side here. And I'll show you what the pizza dough looks like. So, nice and soft. I'm gonna get a little bit of flour so that we can plop it down onto our counter. All right, so I got some flour. I have the dough here that I took out of the fridge 3 hours ago. So it was in the fridge for probably around 20 hours. So just add a little bit of flour, all-purpose flour. There we go. So this recipe makes 3 thin pizzas or 2 thicker ones. We like it pretty thin, so we cut it into 3. So just make it into a little ball. Right, so I'm gonna get my baking sheet. So I have here a pizza tray. I'm just gonna brush some olive oil on it. All right. So you can open this with a rolling pin if you choose to do so. And my husband always likes to do it that way. I try to avoid it because you get more bubbles if you just open it by hand. But it is trickier. But we will try to just do this one by hand. Because with the rolling pin, you end up squishing all of those nice air bubbles. So just stretch. Yeah, just keep on stretching. Get your hands in the middle. Try to stretch from the middle outwards. So I'm gonna put it on my tray now, and then I will just use my hand to keep stretching it out. And I like to like almost overstretch it a little because it does tend to shrink back. So that way, as we're putting our toppings on there, it will just shrink back to the size of the tray. I like to leave the ends a little bit thicker, just so we get a little bit of a crust. Okay, so there we go. So we're ready to put our toppings. So I have my toppings all ready here. We're just doing vegetarian pizzas. It's usually what we do. And I like making pizza at the end of the week, and I just use whatever veggies I have left for the week. So I got some mushrooms, some red onion, green pepper, tomatoes, cheese, obviously, and some corn. I'm Brazilian and we love corn in our pizzas. So I'm gonna do that. And I do have my oven preheating at 475, and I have it on the convection bake setting so that we get some of that airflow, and I don't know, I think it bakes it better that way. Nice and even. Now we're gonna add our cheese, and I don't like to add tons of cheese because it makes it kind of soggy and you end up only tasting cheese, which for a lot of people is not a bad thing, but we do try to eat less dairy. So I think a good sprinkle, but not crazy amount of cheese. But obviously add as much cheese as you like. I do have a nice vegan cheese recipe that I will share with you guys one of these days. Sometimes I like to do it with the vegan cheese as well. So we're gonna add some mushrooms, green pepper, adding some of the red onion that I thinly sliced, tomato. I love tomato on pizza. And our corn. In Brazil, it's very classic to have corn, shredded chicken, sometimes onions, and this creamy cheese that we call catupiry, almost like cream cheese. And it is so good. One of these days, I will show you guys how to make that. I'm just gonna put some oregano. Again, every pizza in Brazil has oregano, we love it. Just makes it so yummy. And that's it. So we're ready to bake this. So I'm gonna bake it for about 11 minutes.